Các bạn hãy đăng ký kênh Su Đăng Game Minh để được chơi game cùng mình nha.
Welcome back to Sudang Gaming Channel. This is a channel specializing in instructions on how to build characters, playing styles as well as guide on all types of games. If you are a Vietnamese, please visit the link in the description to go to the 100% Vietnamese Sudang Gaming VN channel created by myself. Thanks for your support. In today's video, we'll focus on building a Water Virtue build, which is a build using Grace of Zhuanxu the Black Emperor. The main gameplay of this build is to take advantage of the effect Subtlety of Water Phase after performing the falta strike. This effect gives us a long time enough to spam any Wizardry Spell to damage monsters and bosses without consuming any spirit, and now we will explain build in the video. We will talk about Grace of Zhuanxu the Black Emperor, and the fifth effect of this grace is Subtlety of Water Phase. Conditions to activate this effect include: first, you need to raise the stat water at least 70 points. Second, after you successfully perform the falta strike, you will receive the buff Subtlety of Water Phase. This effect allows us to perform any action that consumes spirit, such as using a weapon's martial art or casting a wizardry spell, without consuming any spirit. And this buff have fairly short time, but it is enough for us to take advantage of to spam some spells or skills that cause great damage to monsters. To take full advantage of the effectiveness of Grace of Zhuanxu the Black Emperor, we need to choose a weapon that satisfies the following two conditions. Firstly, there must be a water scale. Note that it does not have to be the main scale, because the goal is to take advantage of increased damage when you have raised at least 70 water stat points. Second, weapons should have martial art that deal high spirit damage, because we need to quickly bring the boss into winded to perform falta strike and activate the Subtlety of Water Phase effect. In this video, I use the weapon Dire Tiger for the reason that there is a second subscale, water, and the fixed martial art light speed gust of this weapon is one of the martial art that causes quite high spirit damage. I will explain a little about the light speed gust martial art. The strength of this martial art is that it helps you keep a safe distance from the boss, because when performed, the character will step back and then move forward to stab, causing a large amount of spirit damage. It is important to note that if this skill is performed when you have accumulated enough high spirit, the blue spirit on the right, then this skill will not be staggered by boss attacks and damage to health and spirit increased significantly. However, the weakness of this skill is that you must choose the time to do it correctly, because otherwise, you can be attacked again by monsters or bosses. The best way to use light speed gust is after you've done 2 normal attacks or after you've successfully performed a deflect counter. And about the Dire Tiger weapon, it is best for it to have an additional martial art to compensate for this weakness, especially when monsters or bosses approach you, which are the following skills: Moonbreak, Meteor Shower, Swift Lightning. As introduced in the previous section, the Dire Tiger has the main scale fire. Therefore, to create high damage for this build, I will choose fire wizardry spells. Depending on the specific situation, we will use different types of fire wizardry spells. Fire Bolt Spell. This is a frequently used spell because of its ability casts quickly, and also has the ability to lightly stun and lock the boss. Engulfing Inferno Spell. I often use this spell when I have the opportunity to corner the boss, because this spell deals an extremely powerful amount of damage. Overall, the gameplay of this build focuses on using weapon martial art to knock down the boss, then using falta strike to receive the Subtlety of Water Phase buff. And finally, we will spam the Fire Bolt spell to quickly finish the boss. To take full advantage of this build, you can add a piece of Grace of Ling Bao Tianzun the Pure One to your equipment. This will cause the boss to run out of spirit more quickly because you will create a spirit vulnerability effect on the boss. This effect helps reduce the boss's maximum spirit each time you use the martial art. However, to do this, you need an item have effect set bonus requirement mitigation. This effect will help you reduce the required item in Grace and set bonus by 1 item. Now this is the showcase part of the build to help you visualize the strengths of the build as well as how the build operates. You can skip this part and not watch it, but don't miss the instructions on raising stats, embedment effects on equipment, and choosing to use Divine Beast, later in the video.
fight with my full strength. I know no other way. That was beyond my expectations. Interesting. Wei won't submit. Never!
I felt that one. I think I'm starting to enjoy this. There's fight left in me yet.
I trust you are prepared. Then let us cross blades! There's such strength in your blows. I commend you, but I will not yield. I refuse.
Now, we will get into the important part of how to raise stats. First, we must prioritize raising the Earth stat. It is important to raise this stat to ensure your weight is below 30% and reach Agility A. If you carry a weight from 30% to 70%, you will be increased at 25% Spirit when using martial art. Carrying more than 70% weight will increase Spirit by up to 50%. However, please note that the Earth stat should not over 40 points. If you only have heavy equipment, you can accept carrying from 30% to 70%. Next is to increase the water stat by 70 points, for the simple reason of activating the Subtlety of Water Phase buff effect and also increasing the attack. For fire stat, this is the stat that needs to be raised to a maximum of 150. This stat not only increases the attack of dire tiger weapons, but also increases the damage of fire wizardry spells, which is an extremely important factor in increasing the damage of the build and reducing the amount of spirit consumption when using martial art. With stat, you can invest all remaining points into this stat to increase dire tiger's attack and at the same time increase HP to make we more tanky. Metal stat, you can raise 30 points. This is the soft cap of the Wizardry spirit consumption effect. However, you can also not increase this stat if you want. Next comes the important part, choosing the effect on the equipment, also known as embedment. To save you time, I will list the special effects needed for this build. Based on these criteria, you can conveniently select effects in all equipment. First is the buff and debuff effects. By the way, let's remind you what debuffs and buffs are. It's very simple. Any effect with red text like that is called a debuff, which means a negative effect, and this effect only affects monsters. You will see it appear here. Any effect with blue text like that is a positive effect. And this effect is a buff for yourself. It will appear in this section. Buff and debuff effects in order of priority. There must be two mandatory effects. Spirit vulnerability, an effect that reduces the boss's maximum spirit, and you can receive this effect if you have a piece of Grace of Ling Bao Tianzun the Pure One. If you don't have this piece, you can embed this effect in the dire tiger weapon or helmet. Next is the damage amplification effect, causing monsters and bosses to receive additional HP damage. According to my estimate, it is about 20% to 30%. However, the side effect is to make monsters and bosses increase their damage. I will choose this effect on the helmet, because the helmet allows you to choose the damage amplification upon falta strike, meaning that when using falta strike, it will apply this effect to monsters. This helps you increase damage when spamming fire spells and also helps avoid taking damage from monsters. Finally, there is the power gain buff effect, which increases damage by 5%. I will choose this effect on gloves equipment, specifically the power gain upon deflect critical blow, which means that when you successfully counter deflect the red skill of a monster or boss, you will receive the power gain buff effect. Next is the spirit damage increase when using martial art light speed gust. Note, embed all equipment with martial art spirit damage effects. And finally, prioritize choosing the premium effect line of the equipment, flame attack power, to increase fire wizardry damage. Now I will go into each specific item. First of all, let's talk about the main weapon. The premium effect line I use here is Flame Resistance Penetration. This effect is only available on weapons and reduces the boss's fire resistance, helping to increase fire wizardry damage. Because this is a rare special effect, you should try to farm to get this effect. If you don't have it, you can use Flame Attack Power. Melee Attack Power to increase the damage of Dire Tiger weapons. Flame Enchant to create flame on weapons and deal additional fire wizardry damage. This helps you avoid using the flame weapon buff. In case you do not have this effect, you can replace it with martial art spirit damage temporarily. About range weapons. Damage received is a simple effect that reduces the damage you receive. For example, if you don't have this effect and the boss attacks you, you could lose 500 health. But if you have 10% damage received, you only lose 450 health, which is much less painful. Enemy status effect accumulation. This effect helps increase the ability to quickly cause element status on enemies, specifically the burn status caused by the flame enchant effect of the weapon or the flame weapon spell. I won't say much about equipping helmet and gloves because it's been explained above quite thoroughly. If you fast forward, then rewind a bit. It's at the beginning of the section on embedment effects on equipment. Equip armor and pants. In addition to the necessary effects for the build, you can choose burn accumulation on enemies, similar to the enemy status effect accumulation effect on range weapons. It increases the chance of inflicting burn status from the flame enchant effect of weapon or the flame weapon spell. Finally, for the accessories, for this build, the top priority is the premium effect line, which is the flame attack power effect. Next is martial art spirit damage. In addition, you can use the damage reduction buff effect to increase the tanky and reduce the side effects of the damage amplification debuff. Now, we will talk about the Divine Beast. Here, I prioritize using Divine Beast Tengshi for the following reasons. The effect spirit damage to enemies with negative effects. This effect helps increase spirit damage when monsters are afflicted any negative effect. The effect power drop on enemy upon Wizardry Spell. When you use magic, Wizardry Spell, it causes the monster to receive the power drop negative effect, causing the boss to take less damage when attacking you. This helps us become more tanky and reduces the side effects of the damage amplification debuff. Effect increases Wizardry Spell damage. Because of these points, Tengshi is a very suitable choice for this build. Coming to the final part, the Wizardry Spells section. First, in this build, we cannot lack Devouring Flame. In case you cannot get this spell, you can temporarily use the Blasting Flare spell. Mainly, these two spells are used to connect combos. Next, is the Amplify Damage spell. This buff spell is similar to the damage amplification effect. The only difference is that it is a positive, helping us increase damage by about 20 to 25%. However, at the same time, we also have to take 20 to 25% more damage from the boss. A suggestion when using this spell is to activate it when the boss winded, then use Falta Strike to take full advantage of the increased damage and avoid attack. The third spell is Fire Bolt. This is the main spell of this build. This spell has a very fast casting time and the damage depends on the amount of flame attack power. Most importantly, it has the ability to stun the boss. Fourth spell, Engulfing Inferno, is often used when you have a chance to corner the boss. This is a spell with extremely strong damage. However, depending on personal preference, You can also replace it with other fire spells. Additionally, in the second spell table, you should use the flame weapon spell to apply fire element to the weapon in case you do not have the special effect flame enchant on the weapon. This is the end of the video. I hope you can complete the Wolong game soon, and my channel specializes in instructions for playing the game from easy to difficult. Hope you can support me by clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. Bye and see you in the next video.